Yeah, trendsetter, whoa, league of my own, it don't get better. No, read what I wrote, I'm a bestseller. Yeah, reach for my goals, hit it dead center, hit it dead center. Bullseye, hit it the most, is no misses. Something like fish in a barrel, it's no different. Blindfold on me, I still got the most vision.
Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Carnivore Evolution podcast. Today I have the wonderful Victoria on with myself today, and we're going to discuss a few topics, hot topics that are going on in the world at the moment. So the topics we're going to discuss, we're going to discuss our healthcare system, why we think it's failing so many people. We're going to talk about the Randle Cycle, why you shouldn't mix fats and sugar together. And we're also going to talk about insulin resistance, because a lot of people think that diabetes is caused by insulin resistance. So I want you guys to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Victoria, how are you?
I'm just fine. Mark, how are you?
I'm amazing. It's amazing to have you back on again. A knowledgeable woman like yourself.
Oh, you betcha.
You betcha. So how's things going with you? We haven't done this in a while.
Very well, very well. Been talking to a few people and doing my carnivore support work.
Nice.
Every day I've got emails and people to talk to about it. So yeah, I've been keeping busy.
So you're a busy woman. Good stuff.
I know you are. I know you're a busy man.
We're getting there. We're getting there. It's safe to say we've had a good few podcasts in the last couple of weeks since we've both spoken together.
Yes, it's good. It's good. Keep the information out there.
Perfect. Okay, so what we'll talk about? Will we talk about sugar and fat at the moment?
Yeah, let's.
Right, so let's go. This is a hot topic at the moment. So I'm sure there's an awful lot of people out there that have never heard of the Randle Cycle. So from your experiences and what you know about it, what can you explain to us about the Randle Cycle?
Well, the Randle Cycle was discovered by someone named Randle back in the 1960s. And what its function is supposed to be is to support the absorption of fatty acids in the bloodstream. Now, fatty acids are your proteins. You have 9 or 10 fatty acids in a complete protein, and you need this kind of guidance in the body, and it will prioritize those fatty acids. Ordinarily, if you're not eating a whole lot of carbohydrates, it functions properly. But if you do overeat carbohydrates, or the carbohydrates become imbalanced where there's more of them than there are proteins in the body, the Randle cycle kicks in and it monitors those carbohydrates and shuttles them off to be stored as fat. And that is a situation you don't want to have when you're eating. You don't want to mix those carbs and fats so that the sugars don't get stored as fat almost immediately in the bloodstream.
Yeah, you nailed. That's pretty much what it is. We have to be in a position where we're focusing on one or the other. We have an energy source from carbohydrates. We have an energy source from fats. So we can't get both. If we have both of them, that's where we're going to run into major problems. This is where it's going to lead to having issues eventually with insulin resistance, like obesity, type 2 diabetes, PCOS, endometriosis, all that kind of stuff. So it's what you do. So what we're trying to say, guys, is that when you look at the studies and the dietitians and the nutritionists that are coming out with like red meat, what they're not talking to you guys about is what you actually have with that red meat. Like, what's your lifestyle like? Are you having a bun with your burger? Are you having chips with your steak? Are you having a glass of wine with that piece of red meat? When you're having your eggs in the morning, are you having it with toast? What else are you having? You're having a glass of orange juice. So you can see where I'm going here.
Yes.
When it comes to fats on their own and having high LDL and cholesterol, it was never the problem. What was the problem? The problem was your high triglycerides. When you mix the fat and sugar together, that's the problem right there. So when I know a lot of people always say to me, what about my CAC scan? I'm worried about my CAC. I'm worried about my LDL. Like, what would you recommend? I would recommend you guys ignore this advice. If your LDL is high and you're on a high animal-based diet, you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Now, if your triglycerides are high, then there's a problem there. That leads to inflammation. So I would ask you the questions. Okay, how are you feeling? If you're turning around saying to me, I have joint pain, I have mental health issues, I'm just struggling overall, I'm getting fatter, then you need to look at it and say, okay, what's the main culprit? Is it too much fat you're eating, or is it too much sugar you're eating at the same time? So that's why we have to make a decision. Are we going to
Yes.
be eating a lot of sugar, or are we going to be eating a lot of fat?
Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, Mark, but in the mechanism of the Randle cycle, if it is confronted with too high a level of sugar, it
Hmm.
will raise the triglyceride level to cope with that sugar.
Yes.
I think that's what's going on. So if you're eating high carbs with your fat, then you're
Hmm.
going to have raised triglycerides, and
Yes.
more so than cholesterol. The
Yeah.
level of your triglycerides in your bloodstream is a more significant marker of your potential for heart disease,
Heart
of your risk for
disease.
heart disease.
100%. Yeah, 100%. So you need to look at it like this. It's not the cholesterol that's the problem. It's what you're doing with the
Mhm.
cholesterol that's the problem. So when we look
Okay.
at cholesterol as a whole, regardless of what cholesterol is, just cholesterol. That's it. And we know cholesterol is vital for the body. So this term that you need to lower your cholesterol, or we should be scared of cholesterol. No, we shouldn't. What we should be scared of is actually what we're doing with it. If you're adding too much sugar into the body, it's going to lead to inflammation. And there's going to be many of you now listening to
Yes.
this and saying, well, okay, well, I'm in a lot of pain at the moment. I'm suffering. I don't understand what's going on. And my doctor is thinking that, okay, I need to go on a statin. If your doctor is recommending this, you guys need to get away from this doctor as quick as possible, and you need to go to someone who understands sugar addiction, food noise, all that kind of stuff, because nobody in the world at the moment is speaking about this apart from us carnivores. And this is what we're seeing at the moment. We're seeing a major, major problem in the world with metabolic diseases. Everywhere you look, like there's
Hmm.
kids, even young kids now are walking around with bare bellies. And I keep on getting told that this is just natural. You see an obese
No,
child, it's
no,
natural.
no,
And it's
no,
it's
no,
not
no, no,
natural.
no, no,
We
no.
need to do something
It's a
about
red
this.
flag. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a big sign. And this leads us back to the Randle cycle. When you're having carbs and fat at the same time, and the Randle cycle is shuttling your carbohydrates off, they're in the bloodstream as glucose, they're sugar.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that is what causes the damage, not insulin. And
Mm.
we hear that term that you mentioned earlier, insulin resistance. And that is when you have supposedly have too much sugar in your bloodstream. Well,
Mm.
it's the sugar doing the damage, not the
Yes.
insulin. And your
Yes.
body's not resisting the insulin, it's being overcome by the
Yes.
sugar.
Yes, good point. So what we need to be focusing on, what's going on in the world at the moment with our metabolic diseases. It's not just necessarily down to insulin resistance, it's down to elevated blood glucose.
Yes.
That's the problem right there.
Mm-hmm.
You have way too much
Yeah.
sugar in the
Mm-hmm.
body. Now, people will be listening and say, well, I don't eat sugar. I don't eat processed food, which is good. You shouldn't be eating processed food in the
Mm-hmm.
first place. But we also need to understand, okay, where else is that sugar coming from? So
Exactly.
it's going to come from fruits, regardless of what fruit
Mm-hmm.
you're eating, guys.
Yeah.
Oranges, blueberries, strawberries, any kind of
Berries.
fruit,
Yeah.
any fruits that you're eating. Okay, if you're having these detox drinks, if you're going to your smoothie bars, all these that we were told are healthy. If you're having your complex carbohydrates, your healthy carbohydrates like your sweet potatoes, your rice, your quinoa, and your boiled potatoes, guys, they all turn to sugar in the body. They all have the same impact.
And
So,
ultimately, too, your soluble vegetable fibers will break down.
yes. Now, when we look at the argument of fiber, yes, it will slow down the process of those glucose spikes, but we have to understand this. What's causing the glucose spikes in the first place? And would it not be better to just eliminate this in the first place? Because yes, you're gonna slow it down. But if you guys are walking around bloated and your energy's not good and it's affecting your mental health, well, guys, it's not good for your health. And if you're using an enzyme or a probiotic to try and fix that condition, well, then obviously fiber is doing a lot more damage. So
Yes.
if you're on the
Breaking down that fiber.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So if you're on the standard American diet and you're eating crap every single day, well, then there's an argument. Yes, you can actually use fiber. It might be beneficial, but us carnivores, I know for Victoria and myself, like Victoria's doing this a lot longer than me. We haven't touched the fiber in a long, long time, guys. A long, long time. And we're satiated. We're never hungry. You know what I mean? We're not walking around with like bellies full of like vegetables, and you can only imagine what it's doing to your insides, that amount of fiber. It's just
Yeah.
rotten. All that excess fiber in your gut is just rotten, and it's not good. And that's what leads to people. And we need to understand there's a massive connection between the gut and the brain. So if your gut is not feeling good, it's going to impact your brain.
Yes,
So
I
that
agree. I agree.
so
And
it.
sorry,
No, you go ahead.
on this side of the fence where there is no fiber in my diet, I see these ads for the food delivery services, and they show this bowl of vegetables, and there's all kinds of roughage in there. I look at it and I'm actually appalled.
Mm,
I could not imagine consuming that kind of thing like I used to, and that was not, it was about 8 years ago.
mm,
I switched. I'm a seventh year carnivore, and 8 years ago, for the prior 3 years, I was doing keto, and I did eat a lot of that roughage, but I lost weight after I got off of keto on carnivore, and
mm.
I can't imagine abusing my colon with that kind of thing anymore.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just not essential. It's not necessary for life. No
Yeah.
matter what any doctor tells you, there are people walking around who have stopped eating fiber and are healthier for it.
Yeah. And see, the thing is, like you mentioned with the colon and people that are suffering with IBS, like these people are in severe pain and they're being advised to eat more fiber.
Oh, that's just awful. That's medieval. It's just like torture and torment. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I just don't get it.
It's the same with a few ladies that I work with at the moment that are going through endometriosis, PCOS, fibromyalgia. These people are in severe pain, like really severe pain.
Hmm.
I've had parents reach out to me that their daughters are only 12, 13, 14 years of age, and their periods are in excruciating pain.
Yes.
Excruciating.
I went through that myself. I wish I'd known about carnivore when I was
Yeah.
a teenager. Yeah, absolutely.
And this is what leads us onto the healthcare system because these people have to wait months to be seen. Months. It's like you're looking at about 6 to 8 months to just be seen by a doctor. And when you go and see this doctor, he's not going to be able to cure it. He's just going to put you on a medication. So he's going to put a
Yes.
band-aid on the problem. The situation is
No.
going to be there. You're going to go back and eat the same rubbish.
Mm-hmm.
And what's going to happen is you're going to be
Exactly.
paying more money into the system for these people to fail you.
Mm-hmm. Those medications have severe side effects.
Yeah.
My husband was on statins for 12 years the day he had a heart attack.
Mm,
So that was pretty significant. And they gave him terrible pain in his legs, in his joints. And he had to take ibuprofen and NSAIDs. He had painkillers, over the counter painkillers, to deal with it every single day. It was horrible. And
mm,
it also leads to Alzheimer's. Um, it just is just not, there's so many side effects, and it does nothing to alleviate your inflammation. It contributes to it.
mm,
So taking a statin makes no sense because lowering your cholesterol doesn't prevent heart disease,
mm,
and the inflammation it brings is just countering whatever happened,
mm,
countermanding it.
mm,
It's just
mm,
pointless,
mm.
pointless and unnecessary.
Yeah, it's only going to make the situation even worse. Like we need to understand that you're never going to be healthy and you're never going to get better taking something out of a bottle.
Yes,
You need to look at the root cause. Okay, everybody has. I mention this on a regular basis. Everybody has to eat. So why are we not focusing on the food that you're eating?
that is the big question. That is the $1 million question. I just don't get it. It's so obvious. It's like the nose on your face. It's
Yeah,
right in front of you.
it's
Why
like
don't you take
we
it
can
into consideration? Yeah.
exactly. You're putting a lot of food into your body every single day on a week to week basis. Why are we not focusing on this area? Why are we trying to bypass all of this?
It defies definition. It just is illogical.
Yeah.
It's
And
wrong.
every time you have this conversation with people, they'll just say to you, "No, I got this because my family had it. It's genetics. It just happened to me. I
Oh,
don't understand
genetics.
why."
Yeah.
And it's like No, like I only had this conversation with someone on social media a few days ago. He was going on about the vaccines. He was going on about the vaccines cause heart disease. Younger people are dying ever since now they got the vaccines. And I was like, hang on a second, slow down a little bit here. Why are we talking about vaccines and we're not talking about nutrition? And
Yes,
I
yes.
asked him this. I asked him this simple question: when we went through COVID, what were we told to do? We were told that we need to stay indoors. They closed the gyms. We
Hmm.
weren't allowed to socialize with people. We weren't allowed to exercise. But they left the off licenses open. They left the takeaways open, and we could
Hmm.
stay in and watch Netflix every day. So when you think
Yeah.
about it, those three things, did that do anything for our health at all, or did it make our mental health even
Oh,
worse?
absolutely contributed mightily to making things worse. Much,
Mhm.
much worse.
So the question is this: should we still be putting our faith into these people, or should we be looking at something else?
Excellent question. Excellent question.
And this is where we're focusing on, because a lot of people we thinking that you guys are crazy. You're just eating meat and fat and eggs and all that kind of stuff. And that's fine. I was the very, very same. I'm sure Victoria was the very, very same as well. When I started
Yes.
doing carnivore, I had to ask so
Hmm.
many questions. I had to do my research on this. I was never going to do this until I knew exactly what this was going to do for me. That's why I had to do this research on myself. I was like you guys. I suffered for years of my mental health. I was obese. There was so many questions that I was asking our healthcare system, the fitness instructors, the dietitians, the nutritionists. Not one of them were giving me the answers. I had to figure this out myself.
Yes, you have
With,
to. And
with
you have to read and read and read.
yeah, and with yourself, Victoria, like you've mentioned this a few times on your podcast. Like you suffered with gout, you suffered with excruciating pain all your life, and again, you suffered this for over 30 years. And
Hmm.
now you've
Yes.
been doing this over 7 years now, and you've hadn't had one flare up.
Nothing. Nothing. It's gone. The pain is gone. And in fact, I have once or twice indulged in sugar.
Mm,
I got terrible cramps in my legs, like really severely painful cramps, like a shin splint, like I couldn't move.
mm,
And in my abdomen, I got abdominal pains and cramps. It just was not worth it. You can
mm,
see how toxic these things are when you've cleared your body, when
mm,
so many people like to do a detox. Well, they go right back to their regular mode of eating. Well, why
mm.
bother with a detox is my question. But carnivore will detoxify your body,
Yeah.
and then you add that stuff back in, you can tell the difference right away.
Oh,
It's like
100%.
slap in the face
Yeah.
because it's right there in front of you.
Yeah. And this is what I did as well, because I've been doing this like 4 years, and I've experimented in that 4 years. I thought I could get away with eating the
Yes, you
fruits,
think you can.
having a little bit of dark chocolate. Like I only had a bit of dark chocolate there about 6 months ago. It was 100% dark chocolate. And I just had a little piece of it. Now I did read the ingredients. I had a little bit of soya in it, and I had all different. But I said to myself, okay, it's 100% dark chocolate. What's the harm?
Mhm.
It won't do any harm. Now I only had about 10 grams, 2 squares. That's all I had.
Nothing. Yeah.
The next day, I had a migraine for 6 hours,
Oh God. Yeah, it'll happen. It will happen.
non-stop,
You can tell
and
the
my yeah,
difference.
and my stomach was in bits. I couldn't even eat the next day. Now, that was only from a little bit of dark chocolate, like literally 10 grams. I thought I could get away with it.
That's all it takes. In fact, 10 grams of something like chocolate
Yeah,
is their on switch for oxalate storage, where
yeah,
it's going to bind with the iron and the calcium and other minerals in your body and pack them away in your muscles and joints.
yeah,
Isn't that
yeah,
fun? I mean, why would you go out of your way to eat something like that?
yeah,
It's like
yeah, yeah,
you just can't rationalize that anymore. Once you're carnivore, you
yeah,
understand the difference, and it's provable in your own body, right to yourself. Nobody
yes,
has to tell you the difference. It's
yes.
right there.
And isn't it amazing that you clean your body out? Like you give yourself a complete detox.
Yes.
You do it for like
Yes.
6 months, 8 months to a
Mm-hmm.
year, and then you
Mm-hmm.
introduce these foods. The taste is different.
Yes. Oh, they don't taste the same anymore either. Yeah,
No,
you become
no.
sensitive to that as well. I am.
Yeah, because
Yes,
I was
definitely
hooked.
see that.
I was hooked on soda drinks. 7 Up
Mm-hmm.
free, like Coke Zero, all that kind of stuff. I was hooked on that.
Mm-hmm.
I used to drink about 3 of these a day,
Mm-hmm.
and they had no effect on me whatsoever. I remember when I drank one about a year ago, it tasted like Alka-Seltzer. It was vile, absolutely
Yeah.
vile. I was like, how
Yeah.
can I swallow this? This just doesn't taste it at all. And it's the same when
Oh,
I eat,
yeah.
it's the same when I eat a piece of fruit. It's very,
Mm-hmm.
very bitter, very, very bitter.
Oh, or too sweet.
Yeah,
I had a blueberry the other day, and it was, oh my God, who
yeah,
eats that? Who can take more than one of these things? It just was
yeah,
too much for me.
yeah.
It really was.
Extremely, extreme. Yeah, the sweet taste is like,
They
wow.
have bred them to be super, super
Mm,
sweet.
yeah,
It's not the
100%.
same fruit that our ancestors ate when they were lucky enough to find some. So,
Yeah, yeah. And I'm not sure if you've seen on my stories yesterday. I'm actually talking to someone at the moment, and he's kind of 50-50 whether he wants to do the carnivore. But
hmm
what's holding him back is the alcohol. Now he sent me a message
oh,
yesterday. He sent me a message yesterday, and he said to me, "I really want to do this for 3 months, but I still want to have my social life and drink with my friends at the weekend." And I was like, "You're not getting this. You're not getting it.
yes, yes,
You have an addiction, and
exactly. Yes.
this guy can hardly walk. He's in so much pain, and he thinks that sugar is still not the problem."
Oh dear. Oh dear. He needs to prove it to himself. And I
Yeah.
know that alcohol addiction is very powerful.
Mm,
It's like a sugar addiction. It's right up there with any other narcotic.
mm,
And sugar impacts the addiction centers in your brain. And that's
yes.
been proved scientifically. We're
Mm,
not making that up.
mm,
It's just an addiction like coffee too, caffeine especially.
mm,
I
mm,
stopped coffee, so I can't have caffeine. I can't have a cup of standard tea. I think
mm,
I told you my Barry's tea story.
mm, mm.
My daughter-in-law made me a cup of tea, and I thought, she hasn't poisoned me, has she?
Yeah,
Because the room kept spinning. My
yeah,
eyeballs, I had to
yeah,
close my eyes, had to sit still for 15 minutes to stop the room from spinning
yeah,
around
yeah,
because
yeah.
the caffeine hit me so much from, and the theobromine that's in there, it just hit me so hard.
Mm,
Because yeah, once you're detoxified, know that that stuff is out of your system and you can feel it when it comes back in.
yeah, and I'm the same as you. I haven't drank coffee now in a long, long time, and for me, it wasn't a reliable energy source. I was relying on a different energy source. Whereas now, I'm in ketosis. I'm fat adapted. I'm focusing on my own energy reserves. I don't need to be addicted to something to get my
Yeah.
quick kick up energy.
I think there's caffeine in Coke Zero.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you get a little.
It's in all soda drinks, whether it's sugar free,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
whether it's caffeine free, it's all the
Mm-hmm.
same thing. It wakes you up
Mm-hmm.
very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just like people need to understand, like if you're relying on something, like if you're like, okay, I'm thinking about this all the time, then that's an addiction. If you're thinking about sugar, you're thinking about food, you're thinking about alcohol, you're thinking about
Mm-hmm.
caffeine, all
Mm-hmm.
this kind of stuff, it's an addiction. Myself
Yes.
and Victoria, we don't think about food anymore. I eat when I'm
No.
hungry. Like I wake
Yeah.
up very, very early. I'm not hungry. I'm not ravenous. I'm not craving anything. I'll eat when my body's telling me, okay, it's ready to eat. I'm ready to eat.
And that's true hunger. That's
True
true
hunger,
hunger.
yeah.
Yes. And yeah.
There's a big difference between hunger and a craving, and I don't think people understand the difference.
Yes, and it was for me an unusual sensation, and I recognize it now and I honor it. But if I have enough fat in my diet, I
Mm,
can go for a long time without having to eat again. But I know when that signal turns on, it's time to nourish my body and give it what it needs, which
yeah, and
is protein and fat.
and I think another thing as well, a lot of people eat their food too quickly. So
Oh, yes.
they're eating the food too quickly,
Yes,
and you're not sending the signal to the brain, okay, listen, I've had enough here. You're just basically eating like
exactly.
non-stop, and you're not even chewing the food. You're just swallowing the food. So that's
And
what I see a lot with people. Like they'll have a plate of food and it's gone like in 5 minutes. And it's like,
yes,
okay,
yes.
well, hang on, you need to slow down. Like eat your food, let your brain pick up the signals that, okay, at every bite, I'm getting full. I'm good. I'm going good. Whereas if you're wolfing that food down, the same when, like I see people when they buy these Subway sandwiches, They're wolfing it down. They're taking big, huge, massive bites. And
Yeah.
it's like, is your brain really picking up these signals, or are you actually eating, are you just swallowing this food? And I think that's a big mistake also, because that can also play a big impact.
Yeah.
And
That's
that's what leads,
unfortunate. But
yeah.
yes, I've seen that too.
Mm. And this is the biggest issue we have with sugar. Like you mentioned earlier, a lot of people, when they go on a diet, they don't understand why they can't shut off that hunger. They can't understand why they have to eat. They have to eat every 2 hours.
Yep.
And when you send a signal to the brain saying, okay, sugar is coming here, the brain is going to tell you, okay, the sugar coming, we want more of this. We're actually enjoying
Oh,
this.
yes. Yes. Yeah, I watch my grandkids eat and eat and eat. They snack constantly.
Yeah,
And their mother insists on giving them fresh fruit. That's
yeah,
no chips and crisps, none of that. Fresh fruit. Well,
yeah,
it's full of sugar. And
yeah,
they go, uh, the little guy can go through a half pint of blueberries all by himself in a couple of
yeah,
hours.
yeah,
Constant, 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 because that's that sugar cycle. And we learned about that as far back as Dr. Atkins. I think he called it the carbohydrate cycle.
yeah.
It just feeds on itself
Hmm.
more and more and more. And that's something to be very aware of, because that
Hmm.
will happen.
Yeah, see, a lot of people talk about insulin resistance, but nobody talks about leptin resistance.
True.
And leptin is
True.
the hormone that actually switches off the hunger. Now
Mm-hmm.
we can do this through food. We don't need an injection to slow this down.
Yes.
We
Yes.
don't need an injection to tell us, okay, we've had enough now. We don't need to eat anymore. Okay, we can actually do that through
Mm-hmm.
food alone. And it's very, very
Mm-hmm.
simple. All we need to do is just shut off the sugar. That's it.
Yes. Yes.
That's all we need to do. We just need to be in a
Mhm.
position to say, okay, what's causing the problems? Why am I getting obese? Why am I struggling with my hunger? Why am I struggling with my cravings? Why am I getting inflammation? Why am I getting arthritis? And it all comes down to what we mentioned at the very, very beginning. It's called elevated blood glucose. You have way too
Yes.
much sugar in the blood, way too
Yep.
much.
Mm-hmm.
And when we look at people that like are developing diabetes, the argument out there is that, well, diabetes is not caused by sugar. And it's like I always scratch my head. I'm like, I don't think you get this.
Yeah.
When you
Yes. Absolutely.
say diabetes is caused by fats, that brings us back to our conversation at the very, very beginning with the
That's
Randle
absolutely
cycle.
nonsensical. Yeah. That makes no medical sense either. They know
Exactly.
now. They know
Yeah.
about it. And they're
Yeah.
getting smarter and smarter, but that learning curve is very steep and they're going very slowly.
Exactly.
They may get
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
top of the mountain eventually.
It's never gonna make sense, guys. If you're eating red meat and chips, there's the problem right there. But if you're eating
Yeah.
red meat on its own,
Yeah.
that's not what's gonna cause diabetes, guys.
Yeah. That's why
Simple.
an animal-based diet, you need to be very careful, because if you're animal-based, in quotes, and you're still eating fruit or honey, um, or any kind of carbohydrate, you're not really knocking out the addiction. And
Hmm.
that's what it is. And you can tell it's an addiction because it, as you say, it's on your mind
Hmm.
all the time. Where's my
Exactly.
next fix? The
Hmm.
fix of my drug, which is sugar.
Exactly. And see, if you're a type 1 or a type 2, we know it can lead to unbelievable issues. You can end up losing your limbs, losing your legs. And if you're going in and getting this surgery done, and you end up losing a leg, but then after your surgery they start feeding you with like a bowl of cereal and orange juice,
Oh, as they do
like
in every hospital around the world.
it's criminal.
That
It's
is
absolutely
true.
criminal.
It is it's stupid in the first place and criminal on top of it, because there's no connection between nutrition and health there.
Mm,
Who's running, operating the hospital facilities for feeding people? It
mm,
just makes no sense. And I was in the hospital very briefly for a day, for a stay over for a procedure, and they just kept feeding me more sugar and sugar. Well, in the end, I had my husband bring me some bone broth, and that's all I had for the duration. I was
mm,
fine, fasted
mm,
and on bone broth.
mm.
But otherwise, I get sugar, and even in packets, big letters, sugar. Get the message. Well, I didn't want their message. Thank you.
Mm, mm. And it's amazing because when you have this argument with these people, they're just looking at you and saying, well, Like I don't get it. Like why do you not want this food? This food is meant to be good
Yeah,
for you. It's
they
meant to be
don't
nutritious for you.
understand. It's
And
so
it's like
ingrained.
you're
Ingrained.
after taking out my leg because I have
Hmm.
diabetes, but now you want to feed me more sugar that's actually causing the problems.
Yeah.
Do you not actually get why I'm angry?
Hmm. Oh, yeah, I do.
You
I
know?
get it. But it's ridiculous and they need to come around. Fortunately, there are more and more doctors every day coming to the understanding that
Mhm.
this is how nutrition impacts health.
Do
And
you
we
think
can
it's
only
changing
hope
at the
that it
moment though? Because
continues.
I don't see much of it happening here.
There's a little resistance, but the noise has been made. It's the message is out there. We see Dr. Eric Westman and Dr.
Mm,
Ben Bickman, who's a
mm,
researcher, but Westman is a physician who runs a clinic in with Duke University, and he's been published widely. They're publishing scientific articles and also books. The information is out there, and the proof is out there. And over
mm,
time, more and more will come to see that this is, without a doubt, how
mm.
to fix that, especially type 2 diabetes, and how to manage type 1 diabetes.
Well, that's where I feel that I just don't think anything is working because I know on your side of the pond that you guys have an awful lot of experts in the carnivore field, but I just think here where I live, we're so far backwards. Like it's unbelievable. It like our healthcare system and in London and in England is
Hmm.
really, really bad. It's really, really bad. And it's like, okay, are you guys not actually watching this? Are you actually not listening to these people across the pond and the likes of Bickman, Ken Berry, Sean Baker? They're all coming out with these statements.
Hmm.
And it's like, are you not actually seeing this on your feed? Are you not actually seeing this on Instagram? Are you not actually questioning things? Like, surely you should be able to see this. It should be able to come up on your social media, and you should be looking at it and saying, "Well, hang on a second. Have I been right? Maybe diabetes is caused by sugar. Maybe
Hmm.
diabetes is a big, big problem. Maybe what we're doing in our healthcare system is wrong. Maybe what we're doing for a lot of people, we're actually failing a lot of people. Like these are all questions that need to be asked. But I know from speaking to what was his name? We had him on Facebook, the fussy guy, the guy with the beard,
Dave Reed.
Dave Reed. Yeah, he was telling me. I think you were on that. I think you were on that podcast.
Yes.
When he went to see his doctor and he was
Hmm.
questioning the system, the doctor turned around and says to him, "I can't have this conversation with you. I'm not allowed to have this conversation with you." I don't know if you heard that.
Is that awful? Yes.
Yeah, I think you. I think when you interviewed him, that's when I picked that up and I was like, "What?" I
Hmm.
actually I actually copied that and I put it on my Instagram and TikTok, and I was like, people need to hear this.
Yes.
Like
Yes. It's like
people, you cannot question the system, and these people are not allowed to
not
question the
allowed
system.
to. I've had that explained to me by several doctors
Yeah,
that
yeah,
the insurance companies are after the doctors to prescribe medications like statins that
mm,
don't have not ever been proved to be effective at preventing heart disease. And the big pharma also pressures them.
mm,
So if big pharma perceives that a doctor is not giving out those prescriptions, the insurance company will come back and say, well, we're not going to support you. So we
mm,
will withdraw our reimbursement to you. So they're
mm,
down an insurance company and they can't take patients that have that insurance coverage. That's how it
mm,
works in the States.
mm, mm,
So it's just ridiculous. It's like the plot of a bad horror movie.
mm,
Everybody has glasses on. That means they can't see the real writing on the wall.
mm.
They're not allowed to see that.
And we did an interview last night. I don't know if you've heard it yet. We did an interview last night with Krista. She went through an awful lot in her life, but she was
Mm-hmm.
obese and she went to see her doctor, and her doctor convinced her, okay, listen, you need to go on Ozempic. Okay, we don't know what else we need to do. You need to go on Ozempic. So she said, right, okay, I've seen all the results. You guys are the experts. I'm going to listen to you. So the doctor said, right, okay, you're going to go to your local pharmacy and you're going to pick it up straight away. So the doctor had recommended that she goes on the lowest dose possible, right? I think it's around 0.25 grams or something like that, milligrams the minimal dose.
Mm-hmm.
She went to her pharmacy, and the pharmacist said, "Are you sure you want to take this?" And she was like, "What do you mean?" And she says, "It's a high dose." So she was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." She went home. She injected herself. You'll hear this in the podcast. 5 hours later, she went blind.
Yes, she lost her
Did you?
vision. I
She lost
remember
her
that
vision. Did you hear
distinctly.
that?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
And she
yeah.
collapsed. She went to the doctor. Her heart had stopped so many times, right? So many times.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to this day, that doctor who prescribed that to her is still working in that healthcare
Oh,
system,
sure,
right? That
yeah.
person was given certificates on many occasions saying that she's a fantastic doctor. This doctor nearly killed her.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Doing
just
her
take that.
job by the book, by the current book. Yes,
So if Krista had a diet, she would have got away with it. She would have got away because she was
she
following the
still would have gotten
guidelines.
away with it.
Yeah,
Yes, because it would have been chalked up to, oh, she was allergic or something we didn't know, and
yeah.
you can't
And
always
and
foresee that.
that doctor is actually blaming her. That doctor is saying like you wanted this. You wanted to have this
Really,
injection.
that I
Yes.
did not know.
Yeah. She said it
Oh my
yesterday on the
goodness,
podcast. She said,
that's
"You're the
absurd.
one that wanted this." And I told her, I said, "Listen, you don't have a chance against these people," because she's thinking about going back and suing these
You
people and all
cannot
this.
win. No, you
It
cannot
won't.
win.
And it's such a pity that we look around now and we look at what's going on. And it's like you look back at what COVID did. We had so many deaths. You weren't allowed to go. You weren't allowed to visit your loved one. You had to look through a window to see these people suffer.
Hmm.
And not one of these people in the last 5-6 years has been held accountable. Not one.
Yeah, none.
It's honestly, it's just scary what's going on.
Well, we can only carry on and be supportive of those doctors that we know who are in favor of the carnivore diet, who have seen how it works, who do it themselves. And even Eric Westman, who I mentioned earlier, he started out with just ketogenics, a basic keto diet.
Mm,
He's more and more supporting the carnivore diet in his current YouTube videos.
mm,
And
mm,
I was very happy to see that, because I kind of had said, okay, well, he's in the keto camp and that's fine. And I'm in the carnivore camp. But now he has crossed over.
mm,
He understands how carnivore really cuts the muster when
mm,
it comes
mm.
to getting rid of sugar in your body.
And why do you feel people can't? Why do you think people are making that transition? Like, because we know keto is good. We know it's better than the average
It's better than
Americans,
eating
the
junk.
American
Yeah.
standard diet. So why do you feel they have to move on from keto? Because that's what I had to do. I had to move on from
Because
keto.
there are elements of keto that are not restrictive enough, and that includes consuming artificial sweeteners,
Mm,
laboratory made
mm,
sweeteners, and including stevia. I know some people say, "Oh, allulose is good for you," but I don't think so.
mm,
All of them, the body doesn't recognize them as any kind of a nutrient, and it doesn't know what to do with them. And you don't know what's going to happen next. But so many people who have stopped taking artificial sweeteners in any form have been able to lose weight and
mm,
better control their blood sugar
mm,
because of the I forget the technical term for it, but what happens is when you taste something sweet, even if it's artificial sweetener, your brain says, oh, there's sugar, time to release all the
mm,
insulin
mm,
that gets to handle that sugar. So you
mm,
get an excess of insulin in the bloodstream that doesn't have anywhere to go.
mm,
And I think that and keto also allows for nut meals like almond flour,
mm,
which is really it's just ground almonds, and that contains a lot of food anti-nutrients like cyanide.
mm,
Dr. Chafee himself has a video on don't eat anything with almond flour in it because of the cyanide, and you don't have to go far. A few pieces of that cake, and you can make yourself really ill. So
mm,
carnivore is much more pristine in its approach.
mm.
So
I For me, I have three examples. So if, for example, one, you look at like say Keto Savage, like Robert Sykes. He's keto. He will have a little bit of whey protein with his keto brick.
Yeah, wait.
He'll have a lot of cheese. He'll have some
Mm-hmm.
olives. He maybe introduce a little bit of vegetation, but he's not
Mm-hmm.
like he only does a little bit of keto. There I can understand. Whereas if you look at someone like Keto Greg is completely different. Now he eats a lot of fiber, he eats a lot of nuts. Um, Again, he might eat some vegetables, a lot of cheese. But when you look at these two people are bodybuilders. So they're most of the time they're going to be insulin sensitive. Their bodies can
Mm-hmm.
actually get away with it. The third example I want to make is with keto, a lot of people make mistakes because they end up going down the dirty route of keto. So
Yes.
they'll follow the trends like the
Mm-hmm.
keto bars, they'll see all these
Mm-hmm.
latest trends on the
The
market and they'll be like,
desserts.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, this is going to be healthy for me because it says the word keto on it. So if I just eat this way, buy the supplements, buy the whey protein, then I'm going to be healthy. So it's like, okay, well, that's where I see the transition. So I see the transition with the fiber. I see the transition with the dairy, dirty protein, all or not dirty protein, dirty keto. So it's like that's where I see people struggling, and they can't stick to being on keto because it's either one or the other. It's either fiber, they're
Yeah.
eating too much fiber.
Mm-hmm.
The dairy's a problem. That's what I see.
Dairy proteins are a problem. They can
Yeah,
put weight on you.
and that's what I see an awful lot with
Mm-hmm.
females. Like they can't lose that weight, and it's like, okay, well, what about if we just remove the dairy?
Mm-hmm.
What about if we
That's
just
smart too.
just remove the dairy, take the milk out, take the cheese out, and let's see what happens. Let's just go on a full animal-based diet, like kind of like the lion diet, where you're just basically eating red meat, eggs, salt, water, and within weeks, the weight comes off very, very quickly, very,
Yes.
very
Yeah.
quickly. So that's where I find that it's the last port of call that if you're not getting the results that you want, even though you're on keto and it's a healthy-ish diet, well, maybe we need to take it a step further. Maybe we need to eliminate the vegetables. Maybe we do need to eliminate the dairy. Maybe we
Yes.
do need to eliminate the fiber. And when we
I
do
agree.
that, that's when you reach your overall goal. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what people need to do. They need to understand that when you're going on the carnivore diet, it's an elimination diet. But we're not saying that you need to eliminate everything at the very, very beginning because it's impossible. If you ask an
Yeah.
alcoholic, okay, you need to give alcohol up straight away, it's not going to happen. Whereas if you work with them in phases and say, right, okay, just do this, this, and this, and go at the right pace, then you're going to get there. You know what I mean? You're going to get there a lot faster. And that's what we should be doing. So that's what I do. I work on, okay, get rid of the processed foods. That's the first thing. Okay, no
Yes.
matter what diet you're on.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next phase is eliminate the carbohydrates. So you're
Yes.
eliminating both factors there. Then I'll wait until they ask me questions. So if they ask me questions that, okay, everything's going really, really well, but I still have digestive issues. Okay, look at the diet. What about if you eliminate the vegetables?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
That
another
will help.
box ticked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, eliminate the dairy, another box ticked. Then they're coming back to me
Mm-hmm.
and saying, Mark, I feel great. I have so much energy.
Yeah.
I'm losing the weight. I'm feeling great.
Surprise.
Surprise. So I'm like, okay, well,
Yeah.
listen, we're not going back. We're not going back. We're in a very, very good place now. So what's the point in going backwards? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It makes no sense.
So it doesn't, yeah. So that's where we need to understand that you cannot jump into this cold turkey and say, okay, I'm going to do this straight away because I can guarantee it's only a matter of time before you're going to fail.
Yes, I agree. It was a progressive situation for me too. We went from the what is that primal diet, and then we went into keto, and then we went into carnivore, but we did it slowly. The month before, in December, we were still eating vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
So by January 1st, we were ready to just have the animal protein.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Well, I think that was been a good conversation.
Yes, thank you very much. Great idea. Appreciate it.
Anything else you want to come up with, or before we go?
No, in fact, I have to go. My son just gave me a call and a text message about the kids, so I gotta
Perfect stuff.
return
Okay,
them.
well, it was a pleasure talking to you again,
Same here, dear. Thank you very
and
much.
we'll definitely speak very, very soon.
Take care, Mark. Bye bye
Bye
now.
bye.